What's going on, duelists? It's your boy Nick, bringing you today on the channel a combos and test hands video for my recently updated Mutant Psychic deck profile for the post Duelist Advanced format. For those of you new to the channel, welcome. My name is Nick. We do Yu-Gi-Oh content here, mainly focused around rogue and casual decks alike. If that's the kind of Yu-Gi-Oh that you're interested in, then I highly encourage you to smash that subscribe button. We are currently working our way to 3,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. So I finally got my new setup established. I'm actually recording now from the basement of my new house, so if it sounds a little echoey, I do apologize. I also do have a fish tank down here as well, so if you hear some running water in the background, it's most likely just the filter noise from the tank. Hopefully it's not too much of a distraction. You guys let me know down in the comments below how the sound and everything looks and how the video quality and whatnot is. But I wanted to bring you guys combos and test hands for one of my favorite decks, which is Mutant. Obviously we got some really cool generic psychic support in Duelist Advanced, and I wanted to showcase what the deck is actually capable of. I'm going to have the profile linked in the description down below if you guys want to check out the original profile. I'm not really going to go too in-depth in the cards here. However, before we get started with the combos, I am going to walk through the deck list one more time, because I did make some slight optimizations with the list for everything from the main, the extra deck, as well as the sideboard. But I'm not really going to explain anything. I'm just going to go card for card and just showcase what I'm running, and then we're going to head straight into the combos. The deck size did decrease from 46 cards down to 45, so I was actually quite happy with that. But with all of the intros and everything out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. Also, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and also join the Discord. Everything's going to be linked in the description down below. So we're going to start off with the deck list here. Like I said, it's down from 46 cards. It's now 45. So we're basically playing 3 Mutant MO5 as our Mutant starter. We have 1 ST46, 1 Mutant, and 1 Mutant Beast. This actually rounds out all of the Mutant main deck monsters that we play in the list. It's a very condensed package, but it's basically just all the best of the Mutant stuff without all the fluff. Then for the brand new Psychic cards, again out of Duelist Advanced, we have a playset of Serene Psychic Girl, a playset of Mind Procedure, as well as a playset of the Prototype Psychic Blaster, and then we also round that out with 1 copy of the Hushed Psychic Minister as part of the new Psychic support that we received in DUAD. The Psychic cards are obviously very strong. They're all pretty much starters / extenders for you. And I couldn't have asked for more custom support, honestly. Then moving on, we do have a small P.u.n.k engine in this deck, just to help increase the ceiling on the deck list slightly. So we have 3 Foxy Tune, 2 Xiamen, 1 Rising Scale, 1 Deer Note for the P.u.n.k lineup, as far as the monsters are concerned. Then moving past that, we have our non-engine, obviously, of which we play a pretty hefty amount in this deck. Again, it's a 45 card deck list, but we have 3 Ash, we have the 3 Fuelos, the 1 Ghost Ogre because it is searchable, the 1 Mag, and the 1 Druis. And then we have a very condensed Psy-Frame package in the form of 2 Psy-Frame Deltas, 1 Gamma, and then the Driver, obviously. And that rounds out our monster lineup as far as the hand traps are concerned. Then we're going to be moving on into the spell cards, of which we do play 3 copies of E-Telly, obviously the reason why you would run this deck in the first place, followed by the new Teleport Fusion, again, Psychic support out of the Duelist Advance, and then we have a Call by the Grave, just 5 spells. I know that seems like only a small amount, but that's really all we need in this deck. And then we finish it off with the traps. Again, this is a 45 card list. We have even more non-engine in the form of 3 impermanents, and then we have the 1 copy of Mutant Cry as our main deck Mutant trap of choice. Again, 45 card deck list. Now we're going to be moving into the extra deck. We have 1 Synthesis, 1 Mutant Ultimus, 1 of the new Absolute Axon Kicker to round out our fusion suite of extra deck monsters. Then for our synchros, they're pretty well fleshed out. We have 1 Silent Psychic Magician, 1 Virtual World Juju, 1 Psy-Frame Lord Zeta, 1 Thought Ruler Archfiend, 1 P.u.n.k Jam Dragon Drive, 1 Psy-Frame Lord Omega. Then we have 1 copy of Virtual World Kyuubi Shenshin, 1 of the Psychic Blaster Mark II, 1 of the Jiraishin the Cursed Thunder God, 1 copy of the Psychic End Punisher, 1 of the new P.u.n.k Jam Fever, and then 1 copy of the Psy-Frame Lord Lambda. to round out our 15 card extra deck. And then for the side deck, like I said, we also did some updates here. Post list, just more optimization, of course. We have 3 DD Crow. I think DD Crow is going to be a great hand trap this upcoming format. We actually have 2 copies of Gold Pride P.u.n.k Nitro Head, a very interesting tech choice that I'm trying out in the sideboard. This card is actually amazing whether you're going first or going second. Just a free extender while your life is lower. It can produce a token on the opponent's board that they can't use as link material. And then as a quick effect, you can pop that token and then any cards in the adjacent zones around it, including the spell trap zones. So 2 copies of Nitro Head I'm just testing with. We have the 1 Madam Spider in the side, 1 Psy-Frame Gear Epsilon in the side for those trap matchups. We can search out the Psy-Frames, that's why I'm just choosing to play 1. Then we have triple copies of the Psychic Eraser Laser, 1 Mutant Fusion in the sideboards for when we're going second. We sub out the Mutant Cry for the 1 copy of Mutant Fusion. And then we also have 3 copies of Evenly Matched, and then the 1 copy of the Jirori P.u.n.k Dangerous Gabu to round out our sideboard. So that is, like I said, the very brief run through of the updates that I've made to both the main, the extra, as well as the side. Now, what all of you duelists are here for is going to be the combos. So we're going to start off by obviously running combos that feature E-Telly. So we're going to play this off like we have E-Telly and a discard. So like I said, if you duelists made it this far, thank you all so much for your continued support. Like I said, make sure you're liked, subscribed, comment down below what you duelists think of the new setup. Let me know how the video quality is and the sound and everything. Hopefully everything is obviously to your duelist liking. I'm doing the best that I can, obviously. Just, you know, trying to make the best of with what I got. So this is going to be a 2-card combo featuring Emergency Teleport plus any card to pitch with it. So we're going to start things off by activating the E-Telly. We're going to use E-Telly to go ahead and bring out our new copy of the Serene Psychic Girl from the main deck. We're going to go Serene Psychic Girl effect. She has to banish a card. Now what's interesting is she banishes for her effect, not cost, which is actually great because if she does get hand trapped, at least you're not burning card advantage unnecessarily. You know, if she resolves, you banish as part of her effect, which is pretty cool. In this particular combo, we're just treating this card as a blank, but in certain scenarios, depending on what you banish, you can actually extend with said cards. Just depends on what it is, but for the purposes of this particular 2-card setup, I shouldn't even call it a 2-card, it's like a 1.5 combo, because it's just E-Telly plus any card to pitch. We're just gonna treat this as a blank. So Serene Psychic Girl effect, banish a card from hand, doesn't matter what it is. And if you do, special summon a level 4 or lower Psychic from your deck, except Serene Psychic Girl. Also, you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of this turn except Psychic monsters. So we're going to use Serene Girl to bring out our new copy of Mind Procedure. Mind Procedure will pay 2,000 life points for cost to go ahead and add a normal or quick play teleport spell from the deck or grave to hand. So I like recycling the emergency teleport from graveyard back to our hand. You could get one from the deck, but I like keeping the E-Tellys in deck as great draws for subsequent turns. So we're just going to take the one from the graveyard, add it back to our hand, then we can immediately activate it, because E-Telly is not once per turn, you know, beautiful card design, obviously. And we're going to use E-Telly to bridge into our P.u.n.k line, going for the Z-Yamen here. We will then go Z-Yamen, pay 600 to search out our copy of the Rising Scale. Now what's important to note is that this combo, this 1.5 card combo, E-Telly plus a discard, is actually Nibiru proof, believe it or not. We're at 3 summons right now currently, and I'm going to show you guys how we can set up a monster negate on our 5th summon, which is huge, because now Nibiru is not even a threat either. We're going to use Serene Psychic Girl's secondary effect, allowing us to target face-up monsters on the field up to the number of psychic monsters I control and increase their levels by 1. So we can target our Mind Procedure and our Z-Yamen and make them level 4 monsters each. Obviously they're both tuners, but Mind Procedure has an additional effect that says if he's used as a synchro material for a psychic synchro, he can be treated as a non-tuner. So now that we have our level 4 Mind Procedure and our level 4 Z-Yamen, we will synchro summon our 2 level 4s, 4 and 8, which will be our copy of the P.u.n.k Jam Dragon Drive as our 4th summon. We will go ahead and use Jam Dragon Drive's effect, paying 600 life to search for any level 3 monster from the deck to our hand, which is actually huge because there is a few targets that you can search for that in this deck. Obviously you have ST46. that you can grab. It's important to note that we haven't normal summoned yet. Obviously, this was just E-Telly plus a discard, so we can go ahead and normal summon the ST and bridge into our mutant line that way. We can search for our Hushed Psychic Minister just as a free extender. We can also grab Mind Procedure, assuming we haven't already gone through it this turn. Or, as a final option, we can actually grab our copy of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, assuming we're not going to extend anymore and we just want disruption in the opponent's turn. We can grab any one of these. There is no wrong answer, obviously, but for the purposes of this particular setup, we're going to go ahead and grab the Hushed Psychic Minister here. Then you're probably wondering, okay, well, I said this was Nibiru proof, right? Well, this is our 4th summon. How do we get a monster negate set up on one more summon? Well, that's where the new P.u.n.k support comes in. P.u.n.k got a new card out of Battles of Legend called P.u.n.k Jam Fever, and this card can be overlaid on top of any P.u.n.k Synchro or Fusion monster you control, and it's treated as an XE summon. So you can just overlay the Jam Fever on top of your Jam Dragon Drive, making this your 5th summon. The Jam Dragon Drive states, while you can have a level 3 psychic monster in your graveyard, if your opponent activates a monster effect, you can detach a material to negate and destroy that monster. So we have several level 3 psychics in our graveyard, which means the Jam Fever on our 5th summon is already automatically live. So if they had Nibiru, they basically can no longer nib us, because if they try, we can just go Jam Fever, negate and destroy the nib, and continue comboing, which is exactly what we're going to do. So this 1.5 card combo, E-Telly and a discard, beats Nibiru, which is just absolutely insane in my opinion. I just think this deck is so cool with the way that it can bridge into all of its different engines almost simultaneously. It's so seamless. Also keep in mind, we haven't even normal summoned yet, which is just crazy. Like, again, this is a 1.5 card combo, but depending on what our hand looked like, we can continue extending with the normal summon and continue trying to throw stuff at our opponent. So we already have a monster negate established. Jam Fever does have an additional effect where you can detach a material to draw a card, but honestly, I value the monster negate over the draw most of the time, so especially when we overlay the Jam Fever like this and it just has the one material under it, I will seldom, detach to draw. I will just keep that material under there as a monster negate. That way we can either beat Nibiru, or if the opponent doesn't have Nib, we can it's an additional disrupt on their turn that they have to push through. So, something to keep in mind. I only use the draw effect if I make Jam Fever naturally using the 2 level 8 monsters, which can come up in this deck, but it's just something to keep in mind. So now that we're at this juncture here, we're going to go Hush Psychic Minister effect to special summon himself since we control a Psychic. And then we can take our Hush Minister and our Serene Psychic Girl, a 3 and a 2, to synchro for 5 into the brand new copy of our Silent Psychic Magician, who upon being special summoned allows us to special summon a level 4 or lower psychic monster from our graveyard or banishment, and then we can increase its level by 1. So we can just bring back our Hush Psychic Minister from the grave, increase its level by 1, making it a level 4. This is where I was saying that, like, depending on what you banished for the Serene Psychic Girl's effect, this could come into play off of the Silent Psychic Magician effect, because you can bring that card back, assuming it was a monster and it meets the summon requirement, being level 4 or lower. So that's obviously very strong, but in this particular combo, this is just E-Telly and a discard, so we're not going to be using this discarded card as part of that combo. This is just to show you what the ceiling can be off of a single E-Telly and a single pitch. So now that our Hush Psychic Minister is a level 4, we can now synchro our level 5 and our level 4 for a 9, and that gets us into another brand new card, Psychic Blaster Mark II. Very insane, powerful card. And now we still have our P.u.n.k Rising Scale in our hand, which we can use to set up some pretty decent stuff. We can use the effect to banish a P.u.n.k from grave, special summon out the Rising Scale. We can then go Rising Scale effect, paying 600, to then either add to hand or special summon a P.u.n.k from our deck or graveyard, which is obviously very cool. This is where I usually like to bring out the Deer Note, and this will make sense momentarily. You're probably questioning why I'm doing this. We can go Deer Note. We're then gonna Link Summon here using our Rising Scale and the Deer Note. We will go ahead and bring out our copy of Psyframe Lord Lambda. in our EMZ. That will trigger the graveyard effect of Deer Note to revive our Rising Scale. And then what we can do now is we can go Psychic Blaster Mark II's effect. He can, during the main phase, special summon a banished monster back to the field. We can actually take our Xiamen here and special summon that back to our board. And this will allow us to synchro yet again using Xiamen and the Rising Scale for a level 11, which will usually be our Jiraishin, the cursed thunder god, assuming we're going first, which is obviously very cracked. And then we can trigger the Xiamen effect engrave to now target our Jam Fever, give him an additional 600 attack, making him a 3400 monster negate, which is just cracked. And we're not even done here, ladies and gentlemen. Now we can use the graveyard effect of our Psychic Minister, banishing itself from grave in another Psychic monster, which could be our like Psychic Girl, for example. And we can target a monster on our field and banish it to the end phase. So we can banish our own copy of Jiraishin, which will proc our Lambda during the end phase to search for a side frame card. And then obviously we'll proceed to end phase. The Jiraishin comes back because the Hushed Minister effect only banishes the card to the end phase. And then we also get to resolve the Lambda, and we can either search for either Gamma or we can search for our copy of Delta. Depending, since we already have monster disruptions, we can probably just search for Delta, and this gives us a spell negate, which is live because Lambda allows us to activate our side frame effects from the hand, even if we control monsters. And this is basically that end board. Now, obviously, we didn't include the mutants in this combo, but again, this is just showing you what a single E-Telly plus a pitch can achieve, which I think is just insane. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 disrupts. Off of a 1.5 card combo, and these disrupts are nothing to scoff at. This is a monster negate and destroy. This is a quick effect banish, and you gain life points. This is basically either a front row or a back row wipe, depending on how you want to do it. And he'll give you 300 life for every action your opponent does. And we have a spell negate in our hand, plus ridiculous amounts of follow up. And this is just off a 2-card line. And we got to this point, and we didn't even exhaust our normal summon, which is just crazy. And this entire combo, like I said, was also Nibiru proof because of the Jam Fever setup. So that is our first combo. Again, 1.5 card setup, using E-Telly plus a pitch. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna reset everything, and I'm gonna showcase you another 2-card combo showcasing E-Telly plus Mutant MO5. So give me one moment while I go ahead and get that set up. All right, duelists, we are back now with another 2-card combo. This time it's an actual true 2-card setup. The first combo was like 1.5 because it was just E-Telly and just any pitch. But this particular setup is a true 2-card line because you need an MO5 and an E-Telly for this to work. But this combo will show you what having access to the mutants gives you to your end board in addition to everything else. Because the first combo was basically just Psychic, turbo, giving you a decent amount of disrupts and very varied forms of disruptions. But now we're going to be able to loop the mutants into this so you duelists can see what the mutant package actually provides. So we are going to go ahead and go E-Telly. Very similar start to how the first combo began. We are going to lead with our Serene Psychic Girl. She's my new favorite card. Special her from the deck. Then we can go Psychic Girl effect. We will banish, again, you banish for effect, not cost. And this is important because if she does get negated, you still keep the card in your hand. So in this case, if it's an MO5, let's say she gets impermed or something, you can then just proceed to your main phase, assuming you did E-Telly in the draw phase, which I would highly recommend because it plays around Droll. You can now still normal summon and try to push. Now your opponent needs a second hand trap if they want to try to stop you. So just something to keep in mind. But we'll go Serene Psychic Girl effect. If it resolves, you'll banish the MO5 for its effect. And Serene Psychic Girl will bring out a level 4 or lower Psychic from the deck, which will be the Mind Procedure. Use the effect, pay 2,000 life. We'll grab the Emergency Teleport from the graveyard back to our hand so it can be reused to produce another Psychic body from our deck. All of this is obviously very crazy. So this is going to be very similar, like I said, to the first setup. We're going to bring out the Xiamen. Xiamen pay 6, search out Rising Scale. Then we're going to go Serene Girl, second effect, targeting Xiamen and Mind Procedure, increasing both of their levels by 1 each. So Xiamen becomes a level 4, Mind Procedure becomes a level 4. We will synchro both of them off. Yes, I'm aware they're both tuners. Remember, Mind Procedure can be treated as a non-tuner if he's used as material for a Psychic synchro specifically. So we'll take our 2 level 4s to synchro for 8 into a Jam Dragon drive. Keep in mind, this is our fourth summon, so this combo also plays under Nibiru. We'll go Jam Dragon Drive effect to search for a level 3 monster. Which in this particular case, I say we still grab the Hush Psychic Minister because it's just the best extender in my opinion. And now at this point we can now overlay our Jam Fever on top of our Jam Dragon Drive for our 5th summon, making this combo Nibiru proof. So if the opponent has Nib, they basically, you know, they can try to use it, we're just going to negate it and keep on pushing. We can now go Hush Psychic Minister to special summon itself. We can then Synchro level 3 and level 2 for a 5. That will bring us back into our Silent Psychic Magician, my second favorite card out of the support. This card is almost custom. Use the effect to now special summon a level 4 lower psychic monster from your grave or banishment. Now remember, this is where I said that depending on what you pitched off the Serene Girl, this is where you can loop those cards back into your combo. So since we pitched the MO5 for the Serene Girl effect, we will use our Silent Psychic Magician to bring our Mutant MO5 back to our board. We will increase its level by 1 with Silent Psychic Magician's effect, but now that this card was special summoned, this will allow us to search for a mutant monster from the deck to our hand, which will be our copy of Mutant. Remember, our MO5 from this point is level 3 because of the Silent Psychic Magician effect. Now that we're here at this juncture, we can actually special summon our Mutant from our hand because we control a mutant card, then go Mutant effect, tributing itself, and banishing a mutant from our deck, which will be the ST46, and this will allow us to special summon out a mutant beast from our deck, but we do take damage equal to the attack, which in this case is 2400. Again, not a big problem. This deck pays a bunch of life, but you make it all back on the opponent's turn with all the disrupts you set up. So we have access to Mutant Beast now. Remember that our MO5 happens to be a level 3 monster. And now what we can do is we can actually loop our Silent Psychic Magician and our MO5. Let me see, how do I want to do this? I feel like I might have goofed, or maybe I didn't. No, this is fine. We will Synchro Summon using 5, and remember MO5 is a level 3. So 5 and 3 does make an 8. We can actually just go ahead and make ourselves a copy of Psyframe Lord Omega. And then what we can do now is we can go no P.u.n.k Rising Scale, banishing a P.u.n.k from our graveyard, which will be the Xiamen. We can special out the Rising Scale. Rising Scale effect pays 600 to then either add to our hand or special summon from the deck or grave a P.u.n.k that is not a level 8, which we can use our additional Xiamen for, depending on how we want to go about this. And this does give us access to a level 11 synchro like the Jiraishin. And you can see, like I said, how this deck can get pretty far established with some pretty decent end board disrupts. But I'm gonna rewind this combo a little bit because now that I'm looking at this, I feel like I made a slight misstep in my sequencing. So we're gonna backtrack just a bit to where we had Mutant on our field. The ST46 will still be in our deck. Now that we're at this juncture here, we can actually, well, we wouldn't have the beast on our board either. You know what, I guess that's fine. Yeah, I think how I did it was fine, because if I backtrack, if I don't use Mutant effect, that means we don't get access to Mutant Beast. And I can take these in synchro for a 9, because remember, our MO5 is a level 3, so 5 plus 3 plus 1 does make 9, and that would allow us to get to our Psychic Blaster Mark II, which is obviously a very powerful card. But then that kind of well, does it actually forego our Mutant setup? Maybe it doesn't. Let me actually try and go for that line. Let me just synchro. I'm not going to use Mutant's effect to bring out Beast yet. Let's go ahead and just synchro for 9 for the Psychic Blaster. Now we can lead with our Rising Scale kind of backtracking here, just trying out a different line very briefly. Let's go ahead and banish the Xiamen that was in our graveyard. My apologies. Banish the Xiamen that we have in our grave, and that will allow us to special out our Rising Scale. Rising Scale, pay 600, either add to our hand or special summon from the deck a punk that is not a level 8. In this particular case, we can probably go for the Deer Note like we did in our first combo. Now we can go ahead and link for a Lambda, trigger the Deer Note effect to bring back our Rising Scale, and then we can use the... Oh, no, I guess that doesn't work either. I feel like I took a misstep in this combo somewhere, but either way, you kind of see all this unfolding. You kind of get the gist. This is just a similar end board. Like, we will then go Psychic Blaster to revive the banished Xiamen, and we can still make a level 11 synchro here. And then utilizing our... We'll just make the duration. And then utilizing our graveyard effect of the Hushed Minister, we can banish himself. And let's say MO5. To then banish our duration to the end phase. That'll proc our Lambda. At end phase, the duration will return, and then Lambda will let us search out a Psyframe card from deck to hand, which will be live because we can activate Psyframe effects while we control Lambda, even if we control monsters. And then this still gives us follow-up, because then on the subsequent turn, Psychic Blaster can bring back the MO5, and then we can still bridge back into our mutants from there. But that's just an additional 2-card line that I wanted to showcase, featuring MO5 and an E-Telly. I feel like if we didn't grab the Minister, let's run that combo back one more time, because I feel like the sequencing does matter in certain scenarios. Kind of just overthinking something, I think, but let's do this combo one more time. MO5 and E-Telly. We'll activate the E-Telly. We'll go for the Psychic Girl. Psychic Girl will banish the MO5 to bring out Mind Procedure. Mind Procedure will add the E-Telly back from grave. We'll activate the E-Telly. We'll go E-Telly into the Xiamen. That'll go to grave. Xiamen will grab us a copy of Rising Scale. We'll Serene Psychic Girl, make both of these level 4s. Then we'll synchro for the Jam Dragon Drive. We will pay 600 life to search for a level 3 monster. And instead of searching the Minister, I think in this particular setup, because again, we have it normal summoned, we will grab the ST46. This is, I think, what I should have done in that previous line. Then we can take our Jam Fever and overlay it on our Jam Dragon Drive, again making the combo fully Nibiru proof. We can now normal summon our ST46, activate the effect to search for a Mutant Trap, which will be our copy of Mutant Cry, and then obviously 3 and 2. This is another reason why I like playing Mutants in this deck, because some of you are probably wondering, like, why do you even bother with the Mutants? Because they're great levels for synchro summons. We can go ST and the Psychic Girl to synchro for level 5, which will be our Silent Psychic Magician. Silent Psychic Magician will bring out our MO5 from the Banish Zone. We will use the effect to increase its level by 1, making it a level 3, and then MO5 will search out our copy of Mutant. I think this is what I should have done on the last combo. Instead of grabbing Hush Psychic Minister, should have searched for ST, because now this gives us access to the full Mutant line. We will then special summon out our copy of Mutant, use the effects to tribute himself, and then banish from the deck a Mutant monster, which will be just an additional MO5, and this will allow us to bring out our copy of Mutant Beast from the deck. We will take damage equal to the attack. Now we can take our Silent Psychic Magician and our MO5, again, who is a level 3 monster, synchro summon for an 8. If you don't want to make Psyframe Lord Omega, another option that you have is also you can make the Thought Ruler Archfiend as well. just a matter of preference. We could try for the Thought Ruler here. This does make our psychic monsters untargetable by traps. Well, not really untargetable, but if the opponent activates a trap or spell that targets a psychic monster, we can pay 1,000 to negate the activation and destroy that card, which is pretty sick. Then we can go Rising Scale effect in the hand, banishing a P.u.n.k from our graveyard, which will be the Xiamen. Bring out the Rising Scale. Rising Scale effect will go ahead and bring out a P.u.n.k from the deck. In this particular case, we'll go ahead and bring out another Xiamen because we want to make a level 11 Synchro here, which will be the duration usually, assuming you're going first. So we can go ahead and then Synchro these off and make our level 11 Synchro in the duration, the Cursed Thunder God. And now we actually have access to the Mutant Cry. And this is also our end board. Again, off of the same 2-card line, just slightly different sequencing. Instead of searching Hush Psychic Minister, we went ahead and we grabbed Mutant ST46, which gave us a normal summon. And you can see how you can easily weave the mutants into your combo. And they're also great for synchro summons. So we basically have the Monster Negate, Spell Trap negation if the Spell Trap targets a Psychic. We have a front row wipe or a back row wipe. Spell Negate and Banish, and we have access to Mutant Cry on the opponent's turn, which will allow us to fusion into our copy of Synthesis, which is just another disrupt in the form of a pop. And that was again off of a 2-card setup. So you can easily see how this deck just gives you so much advantage for so little. So now that we've gone over some of the lines and some of the combos, I want to do a test hand before we wrap things up here. So bear with me while I get the deck pile shuffled for you duelists, and I will see you here momentarily. Alright duelists, hopefully you all are enjoying the combos so far. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of the new setup. Hopefully everything is visible and you all duelists can see, you know, everything and read the cards and whatnot. And hopefully the audio sounds decent. So just doing a little bit of more shuffling here for you duelists, that way you know that I'm not trying to stack the deck or cheat in any way. We will cut the deck and we are going to draw a 5-card hand. We will treat this hand like we are going first and we'll see what we get. If we brick, we brick. I mean, that's part of the game, but I don't think we will. E-Tully off the top, love to see it. Foxy Tune, a great extender. Another Foxy Tune, that's fine because it's just pitch fodder. Imperm, and a Called by the Grave. This hand is actually gas. We have basically 2 pushes, one with E-Tully, one with Foxy Tune. And even if we were going second, we at least had 1 form of disruption. And we also have a Called by, which kind of insulates our line from hand traps. So to play around cards like Droll and Lockbird, which this deck doesn't really have much of an issue with, because again, you do a lot of your searching in the draw phase thanks to quick play spells like E-Tully. So in the draw phase, obviously, we will E-Tully. Now, if they have an Ash or they chain Fua or something, I mean, we have the Called by to just shut that down anyway, so it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme. But obviously this is a one-of, you won't always have this. But just something to keep in mind, like even if they did stop this from occurring, we still have a push with Foxy Tune, which does give us into a P.u.n.k line at least, so we can at least end on some type of disrupt. But obviously we're gonna go E-Tully here. We're pretty much gonna go for the Serene Psychic Girl like we've been doing in all of our combos. And we'll go Serene Psychic Girl effect. Remember, this is still draw phase. Pitch, just any card from hand. I guess it'll just be the impermanence here in this case. And we will special summon a level 4 lower psychic from the deck, which will be a copy of the Mind Procedure. Use the effect, pay 2,000. We'll add the E-Tully from grave back to hand. Again, we're still in draw phase, so that, you know, even though we are doing stuff, they still can't really draw us. Although to be fair, we haven't actually searched from deck to hand yet. This came from grave to hand. We'll activate E-Tully again an additional time. And since we have access to Foxy Tune in the hand, we don't actually need to search for the Xiamen here. We can actually just go straight for our Mutant line, which will give us our copy of MO5. Then we can trigger the MO5 effect to search for a copy of Mutant from deck to hand. And now we can go standby phase and then go main phase. And we basically already have 3 bodies on the board. Haven't even committed our normal summon yet, which is just crazy. This is why E-Tully is just so custom, honestly. And like I said, we're at a pretty cool juncture here. So we can do a few things. If we're not worried about Nibiru, we don't have to try to go for the Jam Dragon Drive early if we think the opponent just doesn't have Nib, depending on the deck or the matchup. We can try to go Mutant here, special itself, while we still control a Mutant card on our field. Go Mutant effect to tribute itself, and banish a Mutant card from the deck, which obviously, as you all know, will be our 1 copy of ST46. Getting that set up in the banish zone to revive later is important, and that will allow us to special out our Mutant Beast from the deck. And then we'll take damage equal to its attack, which again is pretty irrelevant. Like, our life points are always going to be lower than our opponents. Just the perks of playing Psychic, I guess. And now that we're at this point here, we can... a couple routes we can actually go down, honestly. We can go Mind Procedure and Serene Psychic Girl. Remember, even though they're both tuners, the Mind Procedure can be treated as a non-tuner for a Synchro Summon of a Psychic Synchro. Spoiler alert, everything in our extra deck is Psychic, so the lock doesn't even restrict us in the slightest. So we Synchro for 5, trigger the Silent Psychic Magician effect to revive a level 4 or lower Psychic that's banished or in your grave, and then you can optionally increase this level by 1 if you so choose. We're going to bring back our ST46. I will increase this level by 1, making it a level 4 monster, and then we'll trigger the ST to go ahead and search a Mutant Spell Trap, which obviously, as you all know if you've been watching this far, is our 1 copy of Mutant Cry. Then we can Synchro Summon using our level 4 ST46 and our level 5 Silent Psychic Magician for a level 9, which will almost always be our Psychic Blaster Mark II. We do play Shen in our extra deck, but I usually go for Mark II first. Shen is I only make if I have the additional gas to make it turn 0, or I'll make it on a follow-up push, but I'm generally always going for Mark II first, most of the time. Unless Shen is just better into the matchup. Obviously, you won't know that till post-game 1 usually, though, or post-side. So now that we're at this juncture here, we got some pretty decent bodies on the board. We can now go Foxy Tune effect, pitch the spare copy of Foxy Tune to go ahead and special a P.u.n.k from the deck, which will obviously be our copy of Xiamen. Xiamen effect, pay 600, search for a P.u.n.k, which will be our copy of Rising Scale, if I could find it. There it is. And now that we're at this juncture here, there's quite a bit of things that we can actually do. We can go Rising Scale, banishing a Foxy Tune from our graveyard is fine. Actually, wait, do I want to do that? Hold on, let me think about this for a minute. I don't think I want to do that. I'm gonna link summon using MO5 and Xiamen. Let's go ahead and make our Lambda. Now I can Rising Scale, banishing the Xiamen. Bringing out our Rising Scale. We'll go Rising Scale, pay 6, grab a P.u.n.k from the graveyard or the deck. We'll go from the deck in this case. We'll bring out the Deer Note. Actually, wait, do I want to do that? No. We'll keep Deer Note in deck. That's fine. Let's just go for another... Actually, no, I guess it doesn't matter in the grand scheme. Let's go Psychic Blaster. We'll bring out the Deer Note. We'll go Psychic Blaster effect to bring out a banished monster back to field, which will be the Xiamen. We can then take our Deer Note and our Xiamen, synchro those for a level 8, which, like I said, can either be, I guess it can just be the Jam Dragon Drive here, I suppose. So we'll go Jam Dragon Drive, pay 6, get an additional search. In this case, we're going to grab a Ghost Ogre because we just want disruption for our turn. That will trigger the Deer Note Engrave to go ahead and revive a P.u.n.k from our graveyard, something that's not a level 8. So we can just bring out our Foxy Tune, I guess. Yeah, bring out Foxy Tune's fine. And now we can actually hard make our P.u.n.k Jam Fever using both the Dragon Drive and the Foxy Tune, and we can naturally make our Jam Fever here. Sometimes you do go into it naturally instead of cheating it out. And this is our end board here. We can actually go Jam Fever in this particular case detach material. We can actually use the draw effect here if you so choose, since we have the additional material too. Go ahead and shuffle that up, give that a nice cut. And we will go ahead and draw a card. And that is actually our copy of Prototype Psychic Blaster, which is actually a pretty cool extender. Just not useful right now. We'll probably save this for follow-up. But basically our end board is Jam Fever. This Rising Scale is also a Disrupt. We have Psychic Blaster, the Spell Negate with Beast, and then we have a Called By and a Cry, which we can set, which are both disruptions as well. And we have a Ghost Ogre in the hand. But this just gives you an example of like what the deck can achieve with a simple test hand. But I'm gonna wrap things up here. I know this video is getting a bit long-winded. Thank you all so much if you all are still here watching. It means the absolute world to me. Hopefully you duelists enjoyed the content. Like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you join the Discord. It's absolutely free. Trying to build a community there. And I've been actually going over this deck with some of the members. Try to fine-tune it and do some tweaking, but let me know what you duelists thought of the new setup, and like I said, we'll catch you in the next video. This is Nick, hitting that end phase. Peace.